Good morning. It is great to see so many in the audience today. The interest in this topic is a clear indication of the true importance of digital transformation. Even at AMCHAM, we attribute our success, especially during the pandemic, to our accelerated transformation to digital. And to be honest with you, had we not embraced digital transformation, I don't think we'd be in this position to add value to our member companies. And quite frankly, I think even AmCham could have been in a very dire situation. Today's topic is about how cloud computing is helping drive digital transformation of enterprises and governments. And we have with us today, a very, very special guest. I consider him a very good friend of mine. We have John Hanjoo Lee. He is the CEO and co-founder of Bespin Global. John's also a serial entrepreneur, and I personally believe that his company Bespin is well on its way to be a unicorn here in Korea. And there's not that many unicorns, so for John to create Bespin as a potential unicorn is a real tribute to his success and his passion. Bespin has 1,300 customers, both in and out of Korea. I believe they have around 750 people. It's a huge, successful operation. In fact, besides the enterprises and governments that Bespin helps, I was told about how Bespin was instrumental with the COVID-19 vaccine reservation system. And that would not be possible unless they use cloud. So imagine 17 million people using the reservation system for vaccine appointments, like what a lot of us did, without delays. Again, this is what companies like Bespin, what cloud can do to really help transform people's business models. And I know that through this very special webinar, I hope that all of you can learn and have a better understanding of how to use cloud to enhance your business. I've been in IT for many, many years, and I'm really, really seeing the transformation of cloud to change the entire business landscape, both with governments, with companies, small, medium companies, and even large. So without further delay, let me now turn it over to John. I know that you're going to learn a lot from what Bespin does, what they can do to help transform your businesses. So without further delay, John, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, James, for a great introduction. Really appreciate the opportunity to be sharing our experience on the cloud side and digital transformation with the AMCHAM members and those of who are participating in this webinar. So once again, thank you, James, and the rest of the AMCHAM team for the opportunity. And hopefully over the next hour, through sharing of our experience and our knowledge, folks here can also be inspired to go take an action on the digital transformation. And like James said, that digital transformation it's all about innovation, right? I think everybody is in the business of innovation. So let me just briefly introduce Bespin and what we do, but also really the larger part of this webinar is going to be about how a lot of companies are using cloud to drive the digital transformation, which will ultimately lead to their growth and success. Okay. So what is Bespin? So we're creating the world's most automated cloud management company. So we're a one-stop shop for any cloud needs that you have. So on the left, you have a lot of CSPs, what we call the cloud service providers. AWS, Google Cloud, IBM Cloud, Microsoft Azure, Salesforce. In Korea, you have companies like Naver and KT and all those. And these are all the choices that you have in terms of adopting cloud. And then on the right side are all the end users, Samsung Electronics, LG Electronics, KB Card, Yanolja, Shinan, and some of the largest companies as well as fastest growing companies are all customers of cloud, but they need MSPs like Bespin Global because the IT is so complex. They could do it themselves if you have enough engineers, but nobody has enough engineers. I think the engineers are the most valuable resources that the company can have these days. And, cloud transformation is quite complex, but it's very important. So, we're working with the folks on our client side and work and partnering with the cloud service providers, we provide the one-stop shop for people to adopt and optimize cloud. So what do we do? So, we do consulting, cloud consulting like cloud readiness assessment, adoption and operation strategy, actual migration and cloud deployment, and, making applications that are cloud native. So, I think it's important for people to realize that, adopting cloud isn't just about adopting new set of tools. It's really tweaking the way you make and operate your applications so that it takes advantage of the native functions of the cloud. But in order to do that, you also have to do some change management. So it's a new philosophy, it's new process. So we have a saying at Bespin saying that we're all about providing the new PPT, philosophy, process, and tools, meaning that you need some change management on the people side, on the organization side, and you need a new philosophy in terms of using IT. And then they all need to be melted into the new set of tools. So everything that you need for the cloud, that's what we provide. So we are actually, we're almost like 1,000 people now, and a lot of us are engineers, but we also have sales and business development and finance, and of course every department that a company needs. A very fast-growing company. We're about to cross $300 million in revenue. So, like James said, over 1,300 customers in and out of Korea. So we have 12 global offices in 8 different countries. We're in the US, we're in China. Korea is our biggest operation. We recently launched our JV in Japan, and we have Middle East and Southeast Asia operations. And in terms of so the main topic today is why is what is digital transformation, and why is this so important, and what role does cloud play? And hopefully you can take that to your organization or your personal life and think about how you can also drive digital transformation, leveraging the power of cloud IT. So let's talk about this. Coupang. Well, it's not $100 billion valuation yet. Anymore, but it's still pretty significant, right? I think if you add up all the valuation of all the retailers in Korea, that's Lotte, Shinsegae, GS, and all that, it still does not come up to the the valuation of a single company like Coupang. So, what's so different? Why are investors all over the world so excited about somebody like Coupang? Of course, I think you got to look at a chart like this. So on the left, what you're seeing is the net dollar retention. So the same customer who was a customer of Coupang last year, how much are they spending this year? And going back to several years, I think what you see that dotted line that you see, the one that's going the steepest, is actually Coupang. So it's even better than Amazon. And I think all of us who have spent any amount of time in the US know that how dependent we have all become to Amazon. And those of us who are in Korea also have become very dependent on folks like Coupang. And every day that we exist, we're actually spending more and more dollars with these companies. And I don't know that you can actually say the same thing about other retailers. So if you think about, if you look at on the right side, you ask the customers, hey, which of our following services do you find most convenient? Coupang by far is outstripping the competition. 11th Street, Gmarket, WeMap, We Make Price, Tmart, Auction, and Lotte, Emart, these traditional retailers. There's all single digit versus Coupang is just out of this world chart, like 59%. So, and all this great data is provided by the Goodwater, who were the investors in Coupang early on. So it's not just them, but look at like examples like Shopify, right? This is their revenue growth. It's a spectacular revenue growth, sales in billions of dollars. 4.9 in 2021, and it's going up to 5.6 next year and 6.5 in 2023. No wonder Shopify is growing really fast. So and then it's not just about these traditional e-commerce players, but you heard about live commerce. It's the juxtaposition or the nexus of content and commerce, right? So, while you're watching video on TikTok or Instagram or whatever, it immediately can seamlessly transfer to a shopping experience. Because as you know, the shopping isn't just about transaction. It's about fun. It's about entertainment. And I think, before people were wondering, how are you going to create that online? Because going to the mall and going to 백화점 and all those are, fun experience. It's a family outing, actually, right? And actually, people are creating that online as well, and it's called the live commerce. And if you think about what's happening on metaverse, right? People talk about fashion like Gucci or Chanel or whatever the fancy luxury brands. They're fighting to get into the metaverse world, right? And you think, why does metaverse need fashion? But people like to have their avatars dressed up, fashionably, right? You want to dress up fashionably in real life? Okay, well, let's get dressed up fashionably in metaverse world. So it's not just about fashion. In fact, there are people who are conducting real estate transactions on metaverse. There are people who are getting their hair cut, right? They're getting their sneakers designed, and then stuff that actually don't exist online in the off world are existing on the metaverse. In fact, everything that exists in the offline world will be recreated on the metaverse side as well. And I think let's talk about a new fashion brand called Shein. I don't know if a lot of you are aware of this company. It's a Chinese company. It's a new fashion brand, just like the Uniqlo and Zara are. But even though it's a Chinese company, they don't have any revenue coming out of China. In fact, all their revenue comes outside of China, and they don't have any physical stores. And all their, reach out to the customers and users are done through, their social network, TikTok, and Instagram, and so on. And they come up with a new design and new clothes, and then get it into production in 3 days. So from the ideation to design to actual production and into customers' hands in 3 days. You want to talk about fast fashion? These guys do it. Well, how do they do that, right? Well, what they have is they have this front end where they're providing superior user experience from a UX standpoint. And and then they feed that into their system and real-time data analytics, and they have a very sophisticated vertically integrated supply chain in China, and then out comes the new product in 3 days, right? So on the right side, you'll see that they're using tools like Google Trend Finder. On the competitor sites, they're doing tons of data analysis on the data they're getting from their social platform, whether it's TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, you name it. They're just hoarders of data, right? So, going back to this idea about, how is Coupang outstripping the other folks so much, is because they're using the power of the cloud to just collect data like there's no tomorrow, right? They're the hoarders of data, and then not only are they just hoarding it, they're actually analyzing in real time and supplying it back into their application and tweaking it so that the user experience gets improved, and they're doing this 1,000 times a day. And I mean literally 1,000 times a day. And same thing is happening with Shopify, Shein, and a lot of those live commerce and metaverse world. So when things are digital, these things happen. Where before, I think your product cycles could be a year or 6 months or 3 months. Now we're talking about improving, your products within days. We're improving user experience within days. There's something different when you go to these sites and these leading sites or applications. There's something different about the way that you interact with them through your fingertips, right? And all the battles are being won or lost at the fingertips, right? And are you providing that really sophisticated, convenient experience? And how do you do it? Well, there's so many people to satisfy, and the only way you're going to be able to do it is data. You got to have the data. Data is money. It's not just a way to make money, it is the money. So, the ones who have the most of it is going to get ahead, and there's no way you're going to get the most of it without the power of the cloud. So what is cloud? So when you use Netflix, YouTube, Zoom, Shopify, Coupang, TikTok, Slack, and Roblox, and whatever you do these days, you're using cloud, right? So you're already users of cloud. So in a data center, in a big warehouse-looking building, there are a bunch of servers like this, right? All blinking and very loud. And it's the concept of borrowing and renting, computing resources when you need it, and only when you need it, and for however long you need it. So instead of owning your own data centers and your own servers and computers, you're actually just renting it from somebody like Amazon, somebody like Microsoft, somebody like Google. And you're paying on a monthly basis. You could have a long-term contract, but the basic idea is that it's on demand, and you're actually borrowing computing resources instead of buying them and then building them and owning them and having to operate them on your own. So it's really calling the computing resources as a code. So we sometimes use the words like infrastructure as a code and things like that, but it's really essentially turning what was a physical activity into a software activity. So, and it's applied to, everything, whether it's wearables or your phones, but in industrial settings, smart manufacturing, smart cities, healthcare, automotive, and building and automation, everything that surrounds us is now being powered by the cloud. Take an example of TV. It used to be, TV was an island unto itself. Now, pretty much all the TVs are smart TVs, which are connected to the internet. And then at the end of that connection is the cloud, right? So when you're watching, streaming movies, you're actually using cloud, right? When you're actually listening to streaming music, whether it's Melon or Spotify, it's all being fed off the cloud. When you walk into factories and see a lot of these machines being controlled by some brain somewhere, a lot of times these days the brains are residing inside the factories themselves, but eventually in time, that brain power will move off to the cloud. And same thing with the smart cities and so on. So data is at the center of the whole thing. Like I said, the data is money. If you think about in that context, it kind of starts to make sense, right? So every CFO and CEO knows how much money a company has, where it comes from, where it's going, and which department is actually producing most amount of money or spending most amount of money. So you ask yourself this question, like as a CEO or CFO, or as a leader of your company, or anybody who has who's managing and is responsible for growing the valuable asset of the company, since the data is money. Do you know how much data you have? Does your CEO know how much data your company has? Does your CEO and CFO or somebody in the organization know where the money's coming from, where the data is coming from, where it's being stored, how it's being utilized? If answers to these questions is no, right? If any of these questions no, then you're not a digital company. So going back to this idea of digital transformation, it's a first and foremost, it's a state of mind. It's really believing that data is money and treating data like money and making sure that you're tracking it like it, and then you're committed to growing it. So what does Coupang have that's different than Shinsegae, right? What does Shopify have that's different than somebody else, right? It's that they're actually growing the data just more than they're growing the money, and the money actually follows, right? Let's take Moderna, right? Moderna was is a vaccine producer. In record time, they're able to commercialize. Of course, the COVID situation was very special, so the regulators were able to fast track their development. But how were they able to really run all the tests necessary to make sure that it's safe and all that? Well, I think what they did was they used cloud in a massive way. It's a new type of vaccine, so mRNA. It's got to go through the protein folding process, and protein folding requires a lot of. It used to be that you couldn't really simulate it because it's so complicated. So there'll be a bunch of grad students or researchers sitting in a lab, just keep doing try and error to see what kind of protein the particular strand of RNA would produce, right? But with power of software, right, with a pretty much an unlimited amount of computing available through cloud, they're able to run the simulation. So, in 42 days, they're able to get the whole, the clinical trial going. So, and we're able to use it. So, not only is cloud, modernizing, people's IT infrastructure, it's actually saving lives, right? So apply to, think about how you can apply something like this to your industry and to various other industries. And we talked about the vaccine reservation system. So if you recall, in Korea, the government announced that the vaccine reservation system is open. You could go in. So they first opened it up to the people who are 50 and older, and it crashed the system. So they're using the good old legacy IT to receive the vaccine reservation, and of course everybody kind of went in all at the same time, and it was pretty obvious that it wasn't going to work. Not sure why they ever thought that was going to work. It really wasn't going to work. So it crashed. And then at that time, government panicked because in the 2 weeks time, they're going to open it up to people from 18 to 49, which is actually, it's now 17 million people. So if it crashed with like just a couple million, can you imagine what would have happened with 17 million people all clamoring to get the vaccination reservation? So we got involved, right? So they called us, and there's about over they expected, with some exceptions, 20 million people to come in 2 weeks, and we had to make a system that can actually scale with that many people all coming at the same time, right? So what we did was, we immediately went to work. 30 engineers from our company and folks from Naver Cloud and the people from the government, we all kind of locked ourselves in a room, start planning it out, start developing new application and put it on the cloud, and we're able to just get it done. So I don't know if a lot of you had the opportunity to get the vaccine already, but I think you probably realize you probably experienced pretty smooth operation on that. So I think this was possible because we're able to use cloud, where once again, the whole concept is you're renting the computing resources when you need it, however much you need it, and for only as long as you need it. So think about if we had to do this in the legacy IT way, right? You would have bought the servers, put it in somewhere, right, and then get it up, put the OS on, put the application, and probably 6 months would have gone by, right? And then after a whole thing is over, what are you going to do with all those servers? You're stuck with them now, right? So from a cost standpoint, from a speed perspective, everything that you can think of, cloud is superior. But it's not just about the cost, right? It's really the agility and the speed by which you can actually produce something like this on the spot. So, I mean, think about doing this, coming up with an application that can actually support 20 million people reservation in 2 weeks. This is unheard of, unthinkable. So as an organization, as an enterprise, what can you do with this newfound agility and speed? Just imagine. Now you could truly be at the speed of your thought, right? Because that's the beauty of cloud. So, I mean, Bespin was able to not only get the whole system up and running in 2 weeks, we leveraged our software pieces like OpsNow to automate the cloud operation, and AlertNow to actually alert us to any kind of issue. So even during the 10-day period when people were reserving, we were able to respond to any requests in real time. So I think, like some stats, started operation in 2 weeks. We were able to, bring together experts in 30 minutes, all 30 people. And then we, planned it out for 2 days and developed for 3 days and tested for 7 days, and we were up and running. So once again, speed of thought, right? You can actually realize these type of innovations in such a timely manner. So why cloud? I think I just explained it. I mean, who doesn't want this kind of speed? And who doesn't want to be, and who wants to be stuck with a bunch of servers that they no longer need for a product or a project that no longer is valid or maybe didn't work out? So we talk about lowering the cost of operation using cloud, but really you got to understand, when we talk about lowering the cost with cloud, we're talking about the lowering the cost of failure, right? So when you lower the cost of failure, when you put the floor low like that, it opens up the minds of people. They start to try different things. They start to try many more things, and they get the courage to go try different things. And that, my friends, is the way to success. Because, the world is very complicated. We don't know what's going to be a hit product next year. We don't know, what people want. There's so many people, so much diversity, and people's, desires and wants change all the time. So the only thing that you have is being able to try different things many, many times. But if we're to do that in the old-fashioned way with a legacy IT, it would just cost too much money. And in fact, you'll never get approved. But with cloud, because you don't have this idea, the need to be, saddled with CapEx and be stuck with the IT resources that you may not need, people will approve and say, hey, let's go try it. So that's why cloud, right? So on-premise server system, big initial investment, periodic server replacement cost. It takes time to secure equipment, set it up for infrastructure expansion. Hard to respond quickly for a number of viewers, and then you can't downsize. Once you spent it, you're stuck with it. So cloud is cheaper, faster, more agile, more scalable, more. Access anywhere, computing everywhere. This is a dream come true. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw that movie, Social Network. It's a movie about Facebook. In the initial days when Zuckerberg got in a huge fight with a co-founder, what was it about? It was about Zuckerberg going out and buying servers without the agreement with a co-founder. Had they founded the company now, they would not have had that problem. They don't have to go buy servers. You just whip out your credit card and just order the servers from the cloud service provider like AWS, right? So it enabled, and why is there such a huge amount of startups now? Of course, the funding side is good, but on the IT side, a lot of these startups rely on the cloud, and it's just an easier way to start a business. I don't have to go to my VC friends and say, "Hey, give me gazillion dollars so that I could buy servers." They'll say, "You know what? Why don't you go try out your idea, and if it works, great. Then we'll pay for the cloud service fee. But if not, then let's just turn it off. No harm done." Right? So this is what makes cloud so great. And we're not the only ones who see this. Look at the market. Look at what the world investors everywhere is saying about the cloud market. So this graph shows you the at the bottom is Dow Jones, right? And then S&P 500. In the middle is your FANG, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, and Google. And this incredible line that's beating the hell out of all these other indexes is called MTSaaS, right? It's a Microsoft, right? It's a Salesforce, it's Amazon, right? It's Ali, right? It's all the Twilio, and it's the Adobe. It's all the cloud stocks. There is reason why the most expensive and the most valuable companies in the world are in the cloud business. If there's a one common thread that actually connects all these guys, is the fact that Microsoft is in cloud, Amazon's in cloud, right? Google's in cloud. Apple, marched to the drum of their own beat, but they, in some shape or form, iCloud, right? They're all in the cloud business. And you saw that the Facebook just got hit, right? But, even during that time, even in the downturn, the cloud stocks just keeps going up and up and up. Salesforce.com, Adobe, Shopify, and there's tons of others in this space, right? If you are in the field of investment, if there's one segment in one industry that you got to bet on, is the cloud segment. Because no matter what happens, you don't know which business model is going to work. But one thing that you know for sure is that the amount of computing that the world is going to require is going to be greater. Amount of data that the world is going to produce and store is going to go greater. And amount of analysis that we have to do is going to go greater. And you can't do it on your own. You got to use powers like AI, tools like AI. And where do AI tools reside? On the cloud, right? So cloud is growing really fast. So it's about $300 billion a year. It's going to be like $800 billion in no time. So I don't know if you've seen any other industry this size growing this fast. I mean, $1 to $2 billion industry going to 3 or 4, yeah, but $300 billion industry going up to like $800 billion in a matter of like 4 years. I haven't seen it. I've never seen it. And I started my business back in 1998 in the internet. I thought internet was growing fast. Cloud is even bigger. And why is everybody so excited about cloud? This is a report that McKinsey put out back in February, right? So cloud will deliver more than $1 trillion of benefit to a lot of the companies by 2030. And where is that coming from? Improving application development cycle by 38%, right? So and then reducing the application maintenance fee by $68 billion, and then reducing the application downtime by 57%. And reducing the time to market for new features by 55%, and infrastructure costs by 29%, and monthly critical incidents by 55%, right? So, I mean, we're talking US federal budget is about $4.8 trillion. And in the private sector, individual companies that adopt cloud by 2030 is going to be able to derive $1 trillion of additional operating income, right? So this is why those companies that are providing the cloud technology to these private sectors and government segment is being valued so high. Because when you're able to deliver $1 trillion of additional operating income to private companies, how much are you willing to pay to such companies, right? So cloud does not guarantee success, but you cannot succeed without cloud these days. And checklist of how to choose cloud, right? So you got to find a reliable provider. You got to evaluate the stability and the reliability. You got to consider the economics of scale, and you got to look for standardized services and the flexibility of being able to move in and out of it and different features they have, right? And I think, and then what does it mean for you to be successfully have migrated your IT to the cloud is that you gotta reduce the cost of failure, right? Increase the number of trials, different trying different things, faster decision making, faster action, and innovating faster in the change. I think these are the hallmarks of a successful cloud migration. So we're not just talking about IT here, right? As a business leaders, right, you have to see, once you adopt the cloud, am I able to make decisions faster? Are we trying things that we didn't try before? Right? If before, I was worried about, hey, because of this and that, we can't do it. Like all the, we have all the VPs of no's, VPs of vice president of we've done that, the vice president of we can't do that, right? But are there less of that now? Now that the IT is very flexible and can scale with your operation when you need it, if you need it, and for as long as you need it, are you actually making much more innovative decisions? And is that translating into a true difference for your organization? That's the meaning of successful cloud migration, because only doing that is the only guaranteed way of getting closer to your customers, improving the user experience for your customers, and eventually that increases your revenue and your profit, right? So, yeah, this is just some of the stuff that we've done for our clients. So I'm going to share with you some specific use cases of how we helped our customers to achieve this, agility and all that. Let's take a look. All right, so those are just some of the things that we did last year. In fact, we're doing more. One case that I could highlight is the with the KB credit card, right? This is the first time in Korea where actual meaningful transaction happened on the public cloud, right? I think you all know that the banking world is under threat from the digital native companies, right? Kakao has a bank, Toast has got a bank, Kakao's got Pay, Neighbor Pay and all that. And I think you're seeing the same thing in the US as well, right? Traditional boundary that exists between the, industrial players and the banking sector, FSIs, is coming down. And what's at the heart of it is digital transformation. As you interact with your financial institutions, increasingly it's becoming really, really important to have the right type of app experience, the right type of data analysis, so that you could get the recommendation for the products, right? And Korean banks are no exception. I think the card companies are actually moving faster because they have the most amount of meaningful data. So, they wanted to get the whole pay system on the card, the whole pay system on the cloud, and we're able to work with KB Card and the regulators to make sure that the application could sit on securely and reliably on the public cloud, on AWS in this case, and we're able to scale very fast. No comparison to the legacy IT. And it happened exactly as we expected, which is, KB Card is now able to innovate much faster because their IT agility has increased manyfold using the cloud, right? So performance improvement of 3.6 times when database scale is quadrupled, right? And at a fraction of a cost. And, TOS is another client of ours, same thing, as you think about how TOS is innovating on the user experience, and how they're able to do it on the pay side, on the sending money, and then the various other product offerings in their app. And now they're in the banking. They just bought the Tata, so they're going to be like Kakao, right? So they're leveraging the power of the cloud to get to their customers and talk to their customers and innovate so much faster. And Korea Eve platform, they're a MRO, so they migrated their entire system to the cloud. We doubled the speed by optimizing the infrastructure on the cloud, and we deliver $100,000 in savings in terms of just optimizing their cloud spending. And this is last year when the COVID hit. One of the things that had to happen for the Korean schools was to accommodate online 등교, right? Going to classes online, and it was a panic situation once again. All of a sudden, people, students, about 5.4 million students from the kindergarten to the high school, they were not able to go to school. So we had to quickly come up with the online class system that can accommodate 5.4 million people going to school every day. So we work with EBS and Keras to put the entire system on the cloud. And within, once again, within 2 weeks, we're able to create a online class system. And we couldn't have done it without the cloud. And now that the kids are going to school again, that system has been reduced. So, this is really the way of the future. And this is really the only way that you should be thinking about IT, right? I mean, just imagine if we did this in legacy IT, just like the vaccine system, we couldn't have done it within the 2 weeks, right? And we couldn't have scaled down the system once the acute need has gone away. But let's say something like this happens again, right? Well, we can quickly scale the servers back up, right? So this is the beauty of the cloud, up and down as you need it when you need it, right? And then Toyota in China, they're customers of ours in China. So we put them on Microsoft Azure. They save 30% of cost of data transfer, reduce the labor costs involved with the IT management by 60% by automating, and then save 500 hours for machine learning through the use of machine learning in various different operations that they have in China. So, and then Tiffany and Co. Is a customer in China as well. And, they are obviously, they need lots of retail data, right? So, by providing the 24/7 support on the cloud, we're able to help them focus on their main business. And we optimize their cloud resources and cost management. And, their retail operations as well as online operations are all sitting in the cloud so they could respond to the customers faster. Sorry. And the IKEA is the same thing. So they're running a huge amount of data analytics and in China. So all their retail data comes to the cloud, and then we put them on the cloud, and we also have the machine learning so that they can actually do lots of real-time analysis. And a lot of these things couldn't have been done. It could have been done using the legacy IT, but it would have cost so much more money, and it would have, they probably couldn't even hire enough engineers to manage it. So being able to utilize whatever is available on the cloud on a real-time basis, and they are able to run their big data platform and get lots of useful information out of it. And in Korea, we have, and Korea and Japan, helping Burger King. Now, you see all those kiosks, right? You don't really need to talk to the folks at the counter to order, right? And then, they also have lots of delivery now, right? And we're able to, work with Burger King to really increase their revenue, even during the times of COVID. And Tukang is another unicorn, right? We provide them with Alert Now, which is a cloud-based incident management system. So, there's a lot of things that's happening on the IT system, and alerts are going off all the time. And they're able to, using Alert Now and using the AI engine behind it, to really smartly route all these incidents so that right people are getting at the right time and in a timely manner, so that they could actually reduce the downtime and avoid any kind of application issues. So that of course, in the US, we have Sendbird as our customer. Sendbird is a cloud service provider themselves. They provide an API for anybody who needs chatting solutions built into their app, and they're growing really, really fast, right? And their system is sitting on the cloud, and then we're the cloud MSP for them. And Nihilus is another US-based company in Silicon Valley. They have this awesome workflow automation tool. So, how much time do we actually spend every day trying to set up something on our calendar or trying to respond to emails, find emails, and then have it integrated with other chatting solutions, whether it's Slack or whatever. So they put everything into one dashboard where everything is connected, right? So once again, they're using the AI engine and they're growing really fast. They're cloud service provider themselves, but they're also sitting on the cloud like AWS and Google, and we work with them to make sure that their cloud infrastructure can scale with their growth. So cloud optimization and modernization are the key aspects of what some of these advanced companies are doing. But if your company is far behind and haven't really adopted the cloud, we can help there as well, right? So, we using all these tons of experience working with the folks who have already adopted cloud in a significant way, we bring that knowledge and experience back to you and say, hey, if you're starting the journey now, we can actually, impart and share all the mistakes and all the things all the pitfalls that you can avoid. So we're the kind of trusted Sherpa in your cloud journey. So we have both US and Korea offices, and US is growing really fast. And the folks from here, as well as the folks in the US, working together to serve the customers in the US. And I think it's you think that the cloud is everywhere, but it's only 5% of the total enterprise IT market. It's a $4 trillion a year market, and really we're just scratching the surface. And there's this very high demand for cloud engineers. So I think part of my pitch today is also that not only am I pitching Bespin to the customers, but really to any engineers or sales and business development folks or finance folks that are looking to get in and thinking about, what industry should I get involved with? Well, I got one thing to say: cloud, right? In fact, this industry is just gonna keep growing and growing and growing and growing. And if you get into it now, 20, 30 years from now, you'll still be growing. And I can give the same advice with a high degree of confidence to any young folks. So if you have kids, if they're thinking about where they should get involved with, cloud. I mean, the supply demand imbalance is unbelievable. And I think you just need lots of help. I mean, I think as a career move, as a move for your company, just in everything that you do, I think this cloud industry just keeps growing and growing. So what more is there? Well, let me just get into even more specifics in the remaining times, right? So we talked about cloud as a computing resources that you rent as you need it, when you need it, for as long as you need it, and only as long as you need it, right? But really, the future is not just the computing resources, or I should say, well, let me put it a different way. It's about defining computing resources as a software, right? So we talked about renting computing resources like storage and the CPU and memory, but that's just a part of the story. The bigger story is the application that we need. I mean, at the end of the day, what do we use computers for, if not to use applications? So every industry has this need to solve. They have problems to solve, and they can be very effectively solved by software, right? And the software nowadays is delivered over the cloud, and we call that SaaS, software as a service, right? So, and SaaS market is growing really fast too, right? So from $255 billion to over $400 billion, right? So it's another fast growing market. And we're just scratching the surface. Nowadays, SaaS very much sits in the silo of IT, what we call the information technology. But the rest of the world, the real world, is actually powered by OT, operational technology, right? So OT is hardware and software that detects and causes change through direct monitoring or control of industry equipment, assets, processes, and events. Like when you have a Tesla, that's an OT, right? It's a car. It's got engines, motors, and the batteries, and the dashboard, and then it's got the over the wire, over the air connection back to Tesla, right? These are OT. So OT, think about all the factories, all the robots, and all the machineries that makes things happen in the factory. Think about the streets, the street lights, and the lights that lighten up during the night. Think about buildings, the door, the entries, the access control and temperature control. These are all operational technologies, right? And OTs are everywhere. And the biggest opportunity right now is OT needs to go digital. A lot of it is still mechanical. A lot of it is island unto themselves. They're not really connected. So in fact, there are more machines than people. So think about the revolution that happened when everybody starts carrying the mobile phone, right? Right? We're tethered to the mobile phone, and through that, we're connected to everywhere. Just imagine a world where every machine is connected to each other and to the cloud, right? So SaaS is about OT, IT, and AI, right? So when you do all this, this is all awesome. So OT SaaS is the next frontier. So we're gonna get car cloud, battery cloud, apartment cloud, media cloud, retail cloud, ship cloud, port cloud, factory, smart city, government, you name it, whatever industry you're in, banking cloud, whatever industry you're in, we're gonna get a cloud that is specifically for that industry. And we haven't even started, right? So then those companies want to come from everywhere. And traditionally, the really strong IT companies have come from the US. But think about this spat between the US and China. You think that China will ever allow the US companies to enter China? This is now national security. You know why there are 900 telcos in the world? Because there will never be one global telco, because telecom infrastructure is essential part of national security. Now, enterprise IT and all the software, all the cloud that are powering, think about all the data that's going to be stored in it. There's no way the US is going to allow China cloud to be operating in China, in US, and there's no way that the China is going to allow US cloud to operate in China. So what about the rest of us? What about the rest of the world, right? I think there's going to be a huge amount of this groundswell of development of IT in each of the local markets, right? So Korea's got strength like semiconductor, shipbuilding, car manufacturing, display, nuclear power plant, steel mill, healthcare, technology, and the media context, right? So, these are all the industries that Korea is strong at. But think about combining that with IT, with the cloud, and a bunch of new companies will rise, right? That's going to be taking advantage of it. So in this space, we're talking about making the IT industry from $4 trillion to $8 trillion, right? And where before I think the US companies led, I think, if I'm a smart US company, I would start to partner up with the local companies to really, and then heavily invest into the growing the local, ecosystem. And I think that's something that the US companies can do better than anybody, better than Chinese companies perhaps, right? Because I think, it's a little bit scary, right? So I think there needs to be a new type of, cooperation. It's no longer just US companies headquartered in the US coming over here and just selling the things as they are. There needs to be plenty of local partnership to really help to solve various different issues that every industry has. So once again, it's about people. It's about the philosophy. It's about the process and tools. So cloud is a state of mind. Cloud is it's not just simply some tools, right? In order to really get to the proper place, you need to change the way you think about IT. You need to change your organization, and you need to adopt the new processes, and tools just at the end of it, right? So, and it's all about sharing, right? I mean, at the end, I think if I were to just use one word to describe cloud, it's this concept of sharing. You're sharing resources. This is actually environmentally friendly because you're wasting less energy, right? Instead of just hoarding all the computing resources and putting your data center, and a lot of times you're only using like 2% of it. If you're using it, it's utilized more, it's using less energy. So we're actually saving Earth too, right? Share. So that's why at Bespin, our core value is learn, do, share. Everything that we do is new, so we got to learn all the time. We're going to try different things all the time because, without trying, learning is useless. But thing is, that's not where it ends. We got to share our new knowledge and the way we do things. That way, more people can leverage the power of the cloud, so that they could drive the digital transformation, so that they could partake in all the wealth building and all the value creation that the digital world brings. So thank you. That's the presentation that I have.